So it's 11:05. I'm going to do a super quick reminder to everyone that we are recording today's meeting and live streaming to YouTube and accordance with our public participation plan and principles. So Charlie, if you want to take it away, go ahead.
Okay, we'll open the meeting. Need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion by Miller.
Second by Crouch.
Okay, and motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Everybody read the minutes?
Yes.
I have a motion to approve the minutes.
By Miller.
Got a motion, do we have a second?
Whatever.
Okay,
You get a second, okay.
All right, I'll be the second.
okay. Got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Okay, C, Transportation Improvement Program. Staff.
Okay. So just as a reminder, we had our meeting last month, or no, 2 months ago, back in May, to go over the RPA 18 Transportation Improvement Program. So quick reminders, this is a required annual document by, that's required of all MPOs and RPAs by Iowa DOT. It lists capital and non-capital projects within the boundaries of the RPA proposed for federal aid and SWAP funding. Program includes projects and services for fiscal years 25 through 28, with fiscal year starting on October 1st. So regional projects, SCDG and TASA, formerly TAP, are selected based on our established regional priorities and in alignment with the long-range transportation plan. And project selection was conducted back in March. So when we had our meeting in May, we went over the draft document. And since then, go to the next slide, please. So here's our quick timeline. We reviewed the draft in May. We opened a public comment period from May 23rd to June 21st. We didn't receive any public comments on this document. We did get some review comments back from Iowa DOT, but because those are review and from the DOT, they don't kind of qualify the same way as public comments. So those are just revisions for us to make and not necessarily things we need to include in our public comments received sections. Wait, go back again. So the draft is was due to Iowa DOT June 15th. We got those comments back. And today we're running it by the technical committee and policy board for final approval, and then that document is due to the DOT by this Friday. So a couple changes since the draft document you guys saw back in May. If you picked up a copy of the printout we had on the table over there, there's a little checklist at the front that kind of goes through the changes that have been made. But to shrink it all up, the City of Logan Safe Routes to School Trail Project, if you'll recall, we had programmed that for TASA funding in fiscal 26. Since we did that programming, I received word from Zach, a bit of clarification on the TASA funding program. We don't actually have to fiscally constrain that program on a year-by-year basis. Iowa DOT just wants us to make sure that it's fiscally constrained over the 4 years of the entire TIP. So we are, for TASA only, able to borrow from future years in order to fund things earlier if the situation calls for it. So because Logan is kind of ready to go with their project and they did receive state TASA funding for part of that construction as well, we are proposing bringing that project in alignment to let it in fiscal 25 instead of 26. So this does put us at, I think, an $18,000 deficit for fiscal 26, but that rolls over into the preceding years where we don't have any projects programmed at this time. So we're still within fiscal constraint over that 4-year time period. So MAPA staff would propose shifting that project from 25 to 26 as part of this TIP approval process that we're going to vote on today. So does anybody have any questions, concerns about that proposal before I move on to the next step?
Did they have more things to take care of before they were going to be ready to finance that? Didn't they have another 100,000 to raise or something?
I'm not 100% sure. I think they had most of their local funding accounted for. There was still some fundraising going on with that. They might have hit that target already. I'm not 100% sure. But we as MAPA staff are okay moving into fiscal 25 just because the DOT is the one suggesting that we do that. And I know that they're working closely with the city of Logan because of the state application side of things. So I would say it's probably safe to assume they have their local match, but if they don't, that's something that I would do with you, that we'll sort out with them. So. Any other comments? No? Okay, then can you go back a slide? So that's the Logan project. So because that project moved up a year, we updated table 2, which is that TASA funding table, just to show that the program is now in 25 instead of 26. We also updated table 5, which is just our list of all projects in the region, to make sure that that's consistent with the most up-to-date information that we have from Iowa DOT, given that there's a lot of DOT projects in that list. For example, some of the HSIP projects that we had in that list before when you received the draft have since been let, so they're not in the 25 TIP anymore, because those projects are don't need to have that funding accounted for in 25. So the HSIP projects have been removed from that list, and a couple other minor revisions to that project list and that table. And then following this meeting, once the final document has been approved by the policy board, we will go into TPMS and update the project status for all of those projects from draft TIP approved to TIP approved. We'll update those tables in the final document before we send it over to IMDA. So those are all of the changes that we've had since you guys saw the draft. Do we have any other questions, comments, concerns? Hearing none, then I would like to request a motion from the technical committee. I think we only have Steve and Chris here today, but we don't have bylaws for the technical committee, so we can vote however many people we want.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, so Steve will make the motion. Struble motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
And Frederickson second, motion, that's unanimous, so motion passes. And then Charlie, we would request a motion from the policy board to approve that technical committee recommendation.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, first Parkhurst,
I'll second.
second by Crouch.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried.
Perfect. Thank you guys so much. That is our tip document.
Okay, planning area boundary update.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. I'm Jim Warner, transportation planner. It's been a while since I've had a chance to speak with you, so happy to be here. As part of the 2020 census, there's a number of activities that take place that have to do with transportation. And those start from putting together those initial populations. There's a definition of an urban area boundary that's set aside every 10 years. It seems to change a little bit. In 2010, it was a population-based system primarily. There were some weird hops and skips. They've taken a look now. It looks at a population of 5,000 or the number of housing units. So that changes the areas that the census defines an urban area. And this product comes out pretty early on. And what we do in concert with both the departments of transportation is that we adjust that urban area. So there's some things to smooth it out to make it make sense for just geography that we see and how our area operates. We've done that. And since that's been updated, we go to a third step, which for our MPO, for the Metropolitan Planning Organization, is we update our transportation management area. So that's the area that the MPOs of Council Bluffs and Crescent and in McClellan and Carter Lake and the portions within Pottawattamie County that we serve, as well as Douglas and Sarpy County in Nebraska. So this is the first conversation to you to basically propose staff's recommendations for changes to the boundary. And I'm going to go through that here in a map. A couple things to think of. We're given some fairly broad flexibility on how we establish this boundary. There's some guidelines that we're given, but generally we make adjustments that really help us provide an effective planning process for the region that's within that boundary. Why this impacts you is what's outside of our TMA boundary in Pottawattamie County would be what's within the RPA 18. So this is the TMA boundary as it exists today. So the green area inside there, you'll notice it's really hard to see, but there are some changes where it's not covered. One of the guidelines we were given is use census geography. So that census geography defines the census population.
We're not showing screen. That's
Oh,
the mess, but
yeah. Yes.
I'll
absolutely.
share
Yeah,
the slides
please.
for you.
Yep, I'll be on this one for a while. So, a couple things have happened. Incorporated boundaries have changed, so Crescent's boundary and Underwood's boundaries both changed. One, Crescent extended just slightly into the RPA. And Underwood really kind of grew to the southwest, and so they've encroached into the TMA boundary now. So Underwood is not within our TMA and as a jurisdiction we serve, it's instead inside of RPA 18. Okay, perfect. So those, we've chosen to use census blocks. It's basically the small geography the census provides and has population assigned to it. And so that green area there, we're basically kind of shrinking and shaping the boundary around those census blocks, following Iowa DOT's guidelines and providing again, that area that's most effective for our transportation planning. And the urban area, which I'm describing, is that darker green area, which is provided. We adjusted the Council Bluffs area as well. So why does this matter? And why am I talking to you? Basically, the monies that are assigned for transportation planning within each area are based upon population. So any changes that we make to that boundary is going to make a population change on one side or the other for each planning agency, planning organization. So we'll go to the next. Go ahead, Steve.
I can't discern the part that changed.
Yeah.
Is that part of Underwood that
Yes.
sticks inside the boundary now is outside?
Correct. It was, yes. So yeah, Underwood grew to the south. The solid black line is our existing TMA boundary. So it grew into the Mappa MPO region.
But I can't tell about the others.
Yeah, and Crescent's just barely there. I might have a zoom in. I think I've got one where there's some maps. There's just a tiny little triangle there in Crescent that basically extended over the TMA boundary just to the north side.
This
Oh.
Tiny, teeny tiny, yeah.
I see.
Yeah, so, and this is hard, I think when slides too, because projects and roadways don't care what side of the boundary they're on, and so some of the questions that we have for Iowa DOT is, okay, we're gonna draw this nice clean line, well, life isn't nice and clean, how do we deal with things that are at the borders? And we're working on that for you right now. We don't have answers to all those questions, but those were our natural questions.
And I guess for this group and to further refine the point, the areas in green would be included in the Mappa TMA, so our MPO function at Mappa. So that's the big money from the cities and counties. They would be eligible under that MPO side. Everything outside of that would be included in our RPA funding, right? So what we're technically proposing, or our first internal look at this was, well, Crescent was already included, we'll just clean up the boundary on Crescent. Underwood, for whatever reason, in the middle of the census area, they expanded their city boundaries, and we have this kind of break in the middle of Underwood that happened. So now we're gonna course correct. It wasn't included previously. The initial look is, hey, how do we clean it up so that we still don't include Underwood? Underwood would be eligible to apply in the RPA tip process. And keep the eastern edge as close to what we have. So that's really our initial look, and what we were trying to do was, how do we clean this up?
Yeah. So if we go to the next slide.
And this
that
is
shows-
how,
Yeah,
our first look at it, how we would clean up, based on what we had previously, right? Crescent is still included, Underwood was kind of not included. Look, folks, the main thing we're trying to do is make the math portion of our work a little bit easier, right? Because right now, we would have to technically subdivide the total population of Underwood and count half of it towards the RPA half of it for the MPO, and that just makes it a little bit messier. Excluding it kind of cleans that up.
So yeah, those census blocks that we removed, just how they define them, that as they follow roadways or rivers, they just become really long, extended, narrow regions. So that's why it's so much further south of Underwood. That just follows those census block shapes that were predefined. Yeah, and as Carlos said, bringing on one area, basically removing one census block from RPA 18 and losing, I think 6. Basically giving some land back, some area to cover for the RPA and preserving Underwood within the RPA 18 boundary. So go to the next slide, please. So some of the kind of the real basis on this is areas that we could expand to. Either we have to cover that urban area boundary, or we have to show an area that could naturally become urbanized within the next 20 years. So a lot to show here. This 2-mile boundary is just an extension based upon Council Bluffs planning from their future land use study for 2030, and showing some areas where we could have made some changes. John had emailed me and requested, can we also take a look at, taking other areas from the southeast, because they maybe not something that based upon how he could maybe make use of the planning, and really what that shows there is it's those black outlines or those census blocks. It's hard to make a compelling reason one way or the other to take those areas, as opposed to stay with something that we've already had as an established plan. So even from the previous census. So if we go to the next, I'm sorry, and I'll talk to, there are a couple projects within the RP 18 tip that are along these boundaries and would be things that we would need to talk about. There's a project going into Crescent, which would then be within the TMA boundary almost exclusively. And then another roadway project reaching up to the eastern end of Underwood that it would remain outside of the boundary, but it's right at the edge there as well. Go to the next slide.
You had a question?
Oh, Steve.
So the one at Crescent, on the first slide, you showed the part that was within the TMA boundary.
Yeah.
And that's the reason for that.
It is, yeah, that's a part of it. So, and the question that we have out to Iowa DOT is, okay, does it just make sense for that project to stay within the RPA, because that's where it's been programmed, where it's been discussed. There is a geography to consider, but does it just make sense in keeping it where it's already been programmed? All right, cool. Oh, okay.
And so before we get there,
Yeah.
I think this is where we want to hear all your
Yes.
questions. So that we could work with Iowa DOT, take all your considerations into effect, answer all the questions that we may have collectively or individually, and come up with a game plan. My internal first approach was really just that first map where we just excluded Underwood and kept the eastern edge out. That's fine. That's kind of our preferred, simple, quick, easy. If there are additional questions, we'd love to hear them, and we'd love to get them answered for you all.
What it would mean really in the short term would be a little bit of additional planning funds from Iowa DOT federal transportation planning dollars would be available for MAPA staff to provide support and planning services to our, it would be a net gain for the RP.
Well, I don't understand what the two little, in the Council Bluffs and the big gray block, there's the two little circles of the light gray.
Right in the middle.
Yeah, so and that's, you're right, that's just a function of that urban area boundary process. We could have also easily changed that, but a process on the urban area, the urban area as a came test from the census was really just jaggedy. It followed those 5,000 people or 2,000 housing units very specifically, so it wasn't as nicely shaped as this is here. We adjusted that along some boundaries. We gave it to Iowa DOT. they had one final look and they made some adjustments, whether or not they're the reason there are those holes there, but it went through an iterative process following a couple of rules of how that adjustment should take place. Really what that means is those are areas that are not urbanized.
Sparsely populated.
Yes, yep. And you know, we'd have to look at it, there's probably a geographic reason for it, but I'm not familiar with those areas enough to tell you why that is.
Yeah, without having the streets
Yeah.
on there, it's hard to tell exactly.
And those light green circles are consistent with the way boundary is currently defined.
Yep.
So we're just carrying that forward into the update.
Happy to take any other questions. I mean, we're still looking at this, or if there are things that you'd like to have us consider, happy to do that.
I have another question. Why does it look green over there, and blue over here?
They're projectors.
Different projectors. We're talking about green and I'm going, my wife sees green, and I see it.
Yeah.
It's time for you to see your optometrist, that's what it is.
Great,
Okay,
cool, thanks, Jim.
well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
Okay. Long range transportation plan, goals.
So at our last meeting, we discussed updating the long range transportation plan, it's the year to do that. And we had you go through some of the previous goals, and then we added a new potential goal, and we had you rank them. So we took your rankings into account, and then we kind of combined this with the guidelines from the Iowa DOT. And then we made some adjustments for the RPA that would be more appropriate. For example, you know, things like air pollution that's not something that's a problem in the RPA. However, you know, things like energy efficiency might contribute to other things like economic or more efficient transportation systems. So we kind of came up with this outline for the long range transportation plan that basically combined everything I just mentioned. And then, so safety and security, that's pretty straightforward. Transportation options can include things like accessibility and mobility of people and freight, integration and connectivity across and between modes for people and freight. We combine preservation and resilience, it's kind of the same concept, but it can also include things like reliability, system management and operation. Economic vitality can include things like travel and tourism. And then we kind of lumped a bunch of things together, land use and growth, as well as sustainability, which can touch on things like consistency between transportation improvements and planned growth for the area and economic development patterns that we're seeing, as well as quality of life, and as I mentioned, energy efficiency can kind of go under more efficient growth. So what we're gonna do today, we'd like you to help us with developing some of the goals for our update for the long range transportation plan. So we have some maps, and then we have some stickers, and we'd like you to put the stickers on
We're gonna make
places.
people stand up. It's gonna be very.
Yeah, so these colors for the stickers kind of correspond to the colors on the screen. So we would like you to put the stickers on the maps where you, do we have two maps?
We have to do this one.
We can also, because we wanted to hear your thoughts about issues that you think need to be addressed, but also goals and projects for the future that you would like to see. And we also have notepads here, and a bunch of pens here. But basically, if you want to use the stickers, red is safety and security, blue is transportation. So if the issues or the projects that you're interested in have to do with safety and security, you would use a red sticker. If they have to do with transportation options, you would use a blue sticker, and so on. So these colors on the screen match the colors on the stickers, but then if you don't want to do colors, you can also just do a round sticker and then just write the number on there. So if you don't feel comfortable with colors, just take a round sticker and put, you know, number 4 if it has to do with the economic.
Yeah, and we want to hear from your expertise, right? We're trying to understand what are some of the issues you're facing, you've heard of, with regards to transportation, right? What are the roadways you hear problems about? What are intersections or bridges or culverts that need to be fixed where we know there are certain issues, right? Whether you've heard it from your public, from other directors and commissioners, give us that information and your insight to what's going on, right? So that's the first part of the exercise. And to simplify, we kind of try to get this sticker exercise so that we could read the map later and interpret what you guys are saying. And so if there's safety and security issues, right? If there are issues with regards to crossing a roadway, right? County Road L64, for example. And there's a school and you've heard complaints about crossings there. Let's put a sticker, the red sticker there. If you've heard people wanting additional trail aspects, like the extension of the Panama to Persia Trail, extending south, right? Let's put a sticker there. So that's the first part of the exercise. We'll let you get up, get some coffee. This is kind of a little more of a talking session and understanding where the problems exist. And so, yeah, feel free, and if you have more questions, let us know. This is.
Don't have a car big enough.
And then you need a giant stick color.
So that,
Yeah.
you know, where does, resilience against flooding?
Yeah, if those are known issues, yeah, let us know.
Well, it is me, Carol.
I'm the transportation and data manager. I took over for Mike Halgerson.
Oh, okay.
I took over for Mike. He moved up to executive director. So I took over, and so these are my staff, and we're prepping for this long.
I can go into this presentation.
I'm worried about South Dakota, and stuff, the intersection change there, pump here.
Yeah, go ahead and we'll talk through what some of your issues are. I think
Oh,
this is more
lost
for
my
us.
color.
Yeah,
we
some
can go,
colors
so
are.
it's the same.
That are
So
trying to
the
understand.
order is
regions
the
as well,
same as-
right? And so one.
I'm gonna go into the presentation and
Yeah.
update it so that they're on the
Figuring
same
out
slide.
what people are saying.
So red is our highest priority.
Red is what you want.
You have to make bigger red stars for us.
Alright, one that covers the entirety of the
Red
territory.
has, they have.
He's got a red band on his collar.
I'm not seeing the road here.
Not so.
There you go.
Well, I don't wanna put limit on that because I'm not gonna fix it.
Okay.
Well, maybe you're not gonna fix it with the resources you currently have available, but we can, they can help you find.
I might pick a different place.
There you
Bridge over the Elkhorn Park.
It's going in, unless they want to back it, they can back it.
And I guess for guests online, if you have an issue, you could probably put it in the chat and one of our staff will put a sticker on for you. So feel free to put it in the chat.
This red is the stuff. Ta-da.
No.
Red and all.
You need
Cool. All right. I can't let
Find the stars there, didn't it?
That's
There you
Tamarack
go.
Road. Number one safety.
Just put the stars all the way down the length of the road, I love it.
Did you say replace the sand cartridge?
And if John was here, he would put his red stars in between.
I don't know what to do, like, and maybe he doesn't know. It looks more normal.
That's pretty much it.
Might just be that. I know the resiliency piece is definitely a big one to go with.
So that's where you.
I expect some black stickers, yes.
We just want one giant red one, which.
Perfect. All of those, every single one of them, everything, yeah.
Somebody called the other day, everything is terrible, absolutely everything.
Yeah.
You have at least one, just put it in the system, okay. Gotta find more stuff.
More stuff?
Hmm.
Okay.
No, this is
Well,
more
we can-
issues, I think.
Look, star, it's one of the farms up here that got wiped out last year.
Yeah. I don't think the
Yeah.
road's on this one.
Oh, well.
Wanna fix that.
They might get something, do you know,
Yeah.
help with that?
We don't know yet.
Yeah,
Not
still
yet.
in the works, still under discussion.
It's supposed to meet it, but
Yeah.
it was not. Quite jumpy right now.
Friend from the DOT's not here today, but it's wonderful in person, Griswold is getting.
Oh,
Seeing
yeah,
your-
nice.
That's going.
Yeah.
Very.
Yeah.
Y'all have any green things? I'm not seeing any green stars. Economic vitality, travel and tourism opportunities.
There again, we just need the one big star.
Yeah.
Whole county.
Yeah,
We
those-
we
Mark
get used
it
to
in.
being broke, so
Yeah.
don't think about it.
I know.
What's money, you know?
Give me a green star, I'll put it right on Harlem.
Well, that's too bad Macedonia doesn't get an A.
I think you can put your green
All
star on
my,
that.
all of my.
More stars is
All
better.
of my tourism comes off the state highways, so I can't really start that.
Oh, yeah, the GIS only where this thing's so far down. Also, our printer's out of cyan, out of what, cyan? No, we just replaced it. One of the colors is out, that's why it's kind of hard to see the roads, but. It
There's
just.
two different layers of labels and can't turn the base map labels on. And so I was like, I don't want them overlapping, so I turned my set of labels off. And then I think it didn't have any of that.
Yeah, and if you guys want to annotate the map and write on it too, that's also super helpful.
Great.
Yep. So which one are we doing right now? We're doing concerns.
This is more
Just general.
concerns, but we can use that one for future projects or desired projects.
Right, so this is kind of priority areas of concern, and we've got another map on the other side there to plot out the things you currently have in the works.
Everybody gets stuck. That's the one. They raised it 2 feet, it's at 14.4 now. And it was still a problem during this one because people got up there, didn't see the signs and still had trouble, still knocking some semis off. And others didn't see the sign and so they're trying to turn around.
Really?
Or there's no room to
That's
turn
what I said,
around.
right?
Semis blocking traffic and so they had.
Well, there's one of those in Defiance, but it's railroads and they said, we're not gonna do anything about it, so I'm out.
See, Canadian National raised that 2 feet just
That
last
was
year.
nice, so.
Yeah.
Ours is just falling apart and the calls, there's stuff falling off.
Oh,
Sorry.
Where's that one?
Seven.
Can you write a note on?
Which railroad is it?
Yeah,
Burlington Northern?
yeah.
There we go. Perfect.
There you go, you're looking for more.
Yeah. What else you got?
What do you guys got for land use and growth? You want to put some yellow stickers?
We're not growing, we're shrinking.
Yeah, it's pretty consistent. Maybe there are opportunities.
Good thing.
Yeah.
Projects or
Future. Little sticker go along, so they're.
Right. What about mobility, just in general, kind of freight access?
That's very important, right about there.
You guys have any freight concerns? It looks like Steve put a bunch down around Missouri
That's just
Valley.
the bypass.
Yeah.
Missouri
Oh, yeah,
Valley.
yeah.
Like to see one here too. Go right through the livestock auction.
Yeah, it's a bummer we're missing so much of our technical.
Chris and I have to take up the slack.
Yeah.
Exactly, you guys gotta pull, you
Yes.
gotta
For
pull
the
weight
select-
for,
Just give me the money.
Yeah, there you go.
Just give me the money, I'll make it go somewhere.
there you go.
Yeah, don't count that for the last two.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't.
Oh. I'm real detriment to your neighborhood.
So how are you guys feeling about this?
Have some stickers.
Yeah, we do have some stickers, we have some notes,
You,
any other spots that are of glaring concern that don't have stickers yet?
Probably think of them after we leave.
Oh, probably,
You can-
and if you
you
do,
can
you
always-
can always
yeah,
email us.
always let us know. The more comments, the better.
Yep,
It's Matt up here again, I have a feeling.
Yeah,
Yeah, don't hesitate if you think of something on the way home
to let us know.
to email us. Or call, whatever works.
Yeah, because what we want to be able to do is kind of take these areas of concern and make sure that they're incorporated in the long range planning document. So that, because when we're looking at it on that like 25-year horizon, you know, we want to make sure that these kinds of things are getting prioritized, right? So,
And then if you wanna use that map for future future projects that you'd like to
Before we
see or.
do that,
Well,
why don't we take a little bit to
Well, that's-
discuss and let us know what's going on, maybe Lindsay and Leah.
Grow, in theory, but.
Well, and
but you gotta have an idea how to do it before they're gonna come and ask you, what's that sticker mean?
I know.
Maybe get a pen and write
Yeah,
out
we have,
Yeah.
and make sure that we captured everything with them.
for us to know and them to find out, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
then we can incorporate it properly, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so if you guys want to add notes either to the notepads or directly on the map, that would be super helpful too. It looks like the Harrison County, see, Steve's doing a great job, he's got notes on all of this stuff already. Economic is green.
I stuck it right on Harley.
Right, growth by this.
I think Shelby needs a green one.
Yeah, we could share that, I suppose.
I'll put it on the Pot County side.
If there's some way to convey, the thought to get the heavy trucks off of our secondary roads and get them on the interstate.
Yeah,
I think the biggest safety and security problem we have is K-45.
K-45.
It's like 80% trucks.
Yeah.
Overloaded, going over the, speed limit. And.
instead of
just
sticking to
one
the
after
interstate,
another.
yeah,
Well, they can't,
right,
because if they're over 90,000, most of them are 96 to 110,000 pounds.
yeah,
Overweight and run into Cargill.
Yeah.
Over in Blair, or to the, Martin Marietta in Blair. So they come down from Charter Oak and Huge and Marcus, or not Marcus, Hornick, and all up in that area, and Blanco and soldier, all those semis.
Yeah.
And I've talked to a lot of the managers of those elevators, when we have a bridge project or we posted something for, to close the road for even a railroad crossing, they just call and scream bloody murder that we're closing it for a short time and running the detour because they can't run on the interstate.
Right.
They bought all these trucks for 96,000 pounds. And
there's no other
they're just
route for
beating
them
the
to
heck
take.
out of it. Yeah, that's what they plan on. And I talked to the DOT and I keep telling these elevator managers that they've got to work with us to lobby the DOT to allow the heavy trucks on the interstate. And they tell me that the DOT says that they have an agreement with the federal
Oh, I didn't
government
put those on there, so.
Oh, okay.
specifies that they won't run trucks over
What's the
8,000 pounds
I-29?
on the interstate.
Yeah.
Nebraska has an agreement, has a different
Reservation.
agreement, so they can
I
run
think it's
the heavy
restoring
trucks
it,
on the interstate,
elevating it.
triple axle.
Yeah,
Oh,
And
that's mostly
South
where they have
Dakota
the flooding.
can run the heavy trucks
So-
from Sioux Falls to
Yeah,
St.
that's the
Louis
one I think that they
on the
opened
interstate,
as
but
fast
they
as
not
they could, even though they didn't do everything
By the
to
west,
preserve.
and they can't go farther south.
They just wanted to get it open as soon as
So
possible,
trucks
because
from-
people were complaining.
That's right.
Yeah.
The Beans land up at Sioux City, and there's another processing plant up there. Called and said they send 20 trucks a day down our highway. 96,000 pounds and more. And I didn't know, who these trucks are,
right.
but they were just all tied in knots. What are they gonna do with all these trucks they were sending? I can't remember how many a day they were sending down.
Makes a lot of sense when interstate is built for heavy load,
That's right.
everything else isn't, but let's
Yeah, we've
destroy
got
this.
6-inch concrete.
Yeah.
And some of those that were built back in the 70s, but 6-inch concrete, just tore them up.
Yeah, it
We've
annihilates
done
them and then.
Yeah.
Now what?
Yeah, we put 5-inch over into there. Most of it, and now that's breaking. Yeah, it's pretty tough. So I don't know how you convey that by making that a priority, but
Yeah.
call it.
Yeah, that's something we can look
Or
into.
transportation.
That would be probably transportation options if we're looking at freight under that one.
We need to do some.
I mean, that would be under
DOT.
preservation too, right? If it's degrading local roads at a faster pace.
That highway that runs along the hills there, I run into a lot of semis on that highway when I was going up to Hurricane.
That might have been because we had K-45
Maybe it
closed.
was that,
which
because it's
is-
shut,
That's why they run.
I think that shut that week before.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did it a couple of years ago, we overlaid the bridge and they just screamed. Then when we closed this one, they were used to it, so they didn't complain so much.
They figured out they could get around it.
Well, they knew we weren't gonna be closed over 30 days, so we put a super fast constructed culvert in there instead of leaving it closed for,
I'm taking some stealth
Yeah,
pictures.
everybody wants things done, but they don't wanna have to be slightly.
Yeah.
They don't wanna be delayed.
Yeah,
They
they
promised.
have to be there now.
Oh,
Everything's just like right now. And if you don't get it, you get your ears bit off.
yeah,
But the truck lobby is pretty good sized lobby, the big trucking companies.
Well, I
Like
would think
TMC,
so.
yeah, Rubon,
The
TMC.
big haulers would have some voice.
Mark, I know we've got you online. I was wondering if you had any comments on transit
Yeah.
type stuff. So under that transportation options, we've got an accessibility and mobility of people. So we're putting stickers on just a map of the RPA 18 region. I know we had a lot of this in our PTP document, but I was wondering if you had any like pressing concerns that you'd want us to stick on the map for you.
At the moment, I don't. I mean,
Yeah.
I think we got all our bases covered at the moment.
Okay. Cool, thanks.
Stickers on the mission bottom of the piece of play.
Yeah.
Dodged that bullet a couple of times.
Yes,
Drive, it's been the last 3.
Yeah.
last time I went that over 44.
That's not our.
I know. That's DOT.
Yeah. But I mean, it still feeds into Harlan and the surrounding area and stuff, right?
So what's going on in this corridor?
It's Tamarack Road.
Tamarack Road?
Yeah, it's junk.
I think Susan is.
Safety concerns on Tamarack Road north to Avoca.
What
The
kind
the
of-
governor has been amended several times since the tornado, and I wish they would take her down Tamarack Road to Avoca to
That
get
is
back on the other
bad. I
state.
just traveled over that. That's.
It's
bad.
just
What
junk.
makes it bad, I guess? I don't know the
Does it
road.
need reconstructed?
Yeah, it was
I
one
think
of
the whole
those,
leg was what it needs.
it was one of those state highways that they gave to the county. And they did some upkeep on it before they handed it over. And it is just deteriorated. And I think it's on our 5-year plan that it'll be gravel by the time we get to it.
Yeah.
It's rough.
Got it, okay. Good to know. What about these yellow ones?
That's a potential for a bike trail.
A bike trail, okay,
From,
cool.
from Pottawattamie Park to the Freedom Rock in Oakland. Pretty much.
You almost should keep the sticker the whole thing, Charlie, for your bike trail.
Oh, yeah, right here. Yeah, we got
But it should be,
bike trail developing here. This is supposed to go to,
so it should be gold stickers instead of.
yeah, okay.
It's kind of a short trail.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's my kind of bike trail.
Yeah.
Is that the ballpark or is that different?
Yeah.
Right.
Nice.
Actually, they're funding bike trails that go somewhere now. 20 years ago, they would only fund federal funding for a bike trail. You had to drive the car out and park at the end of the bike trail, then you drive your bike out, come back to the car, and then just get in the car and go
A
home.
random section.
That, yeah, I always thought that's ridiculous.
I think, we gave them
Macedonia.
200,000
Oh, 'cause it's in
last
the
time every
town.
year on this trail. I don't know if they're working on that now or not. Yeah.
They got the paved shoulder and
Tourism stuff going on.
91 coming up.
Yeah, well,
Trail runs to.
the green is
Portsmouth now.
economic vitality.
Yep.
Yeah, if we paved that section of road
And so
and
this
put
one, that run all the way down to
a
Portsmouth.
bike trail along the side of it.
Eventually,
Okay,
yeah.
talking about that.
That big shoulder thing kind of scares me.
On Highway 30,
Yeah,
yeah.
That's
Share the road.
busy highway.
Yeah, taking your life in your hands.
No, yeah.
well, and everything gets kicked off of the highway and onto the
Right,
shoulder.
Right, you get smacked with a rock or
All
something.
field right there, and you got
Yeah.
kids
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
all over the place.
looking at their phone.
And
Yeah.
here comes
While they're driving.
trucks flying down.
Mhm.
I guess that would be a
Yeah,
safe.
So ballpark is too close to the road, is that what you're
County
saying?
walk. It's
So it's-
blue.
Yeah.
Park is too close.
That's just good connections in there.
Oh, yeah, that's
That
further
one-
south.
that one's right
State,
there.
They just sort of widened the shoulder.
It's a safety.
In theory is what they did, I think, or what they're saying they did.
What are we now seeing, like high?
Are we giving you what you wanted?
This is
Yes.
perfect, this is excellent. I think the next, we'll open it up for discussion for you all. Like, is there any, we captured as much as we could. Any kind of lasting thoughts? It looks like we have bike facilities and economic development, bad pavement conditions, resurfacing needs, just all over the place, right? Like your giant red sticker.
Yeah.
So this is good, Our next exercise on the other clean map is really
In like
looking
the
at,
5 minutes we've got left.
yeah, we'll see if we could do it. If not, we'll bring it back next time. But thinking about major regional projects, right? So thinking beyond the 5-year plans that you might have, what are some of the major projects that need to get federal funding that you're aware of or that you know have to be funded in the next 20-25 years, right? Long.
That is the big, that is the big risk.
And for these, I think going beyond just resurfacing, we're really looking to, look, our job and what we do is we're trying to match your needs to the funding. So let us help you. If you have a railroad crossing that you know needs to be removed, replaced, changed out, whatever, let us know. So that we could start programming, we could start looking for funding, we could start doing the legwork to get us additional funding within the region. We're really hot to trot, great staff over here, really great grant writers. I'm telling you, we'll be able to help you receive some funds, whether it's a big bridge, whether it's a culvert. Let us know, and we could probably do that on that other cleaner map, so we don't.
What color sticker you want over there?
Whatever color.
Same idea, just different map.
Yep, so
This
same
is
colors.
more now and this is more future.
So on railroad crossings, I don't consider that in you guys' I guess, purview, yes. But
Since
can
they're
you,
assuming that
can
blue.
you, well, they are, but even through
Railroad
the
crossing and
rail office,
Portsmouth
you guys,
probably on 44.
want to push for stuff through the rail office. I've got probably 10 to 12 crossings that are bad.
If we wanna talk about it, so one of the things that we have to understand is for how the state treats it. I've been working more closely with the state of Nebraska since we've had issues in Nebraska, but we're in their forties, right?
Well,
And
I
usually
always
it's
do
just
the federal, crossing application.
Right.
Always,
Yes.
RCD, yeah.
concentrate on those for the
These would be the major ones.
worst ones,
Let's
the
say.
ones that we know that you're gonna get taken care of.
And
But we also have crossings that are
So this is
too
like
high.
if
when
you have a
railroads
project,
come right off highway.
you got a project you know is
And
gonna
right
go,
off of,
you know you guys are gonna try to look for funding for in the future.
yeah,
I've got
And that's
like
kind of
4 of
what
them
we want.
south of.
So this is the areas that we have concern about,
Go
and then
to-
this is like projects.
To Montane.
So they're kind of
Four of
similar,
them
but
right on
here,
south
yeah.
end.
It's like
That's
That's
only
slab will eventually have to go.
75 to 100 feet
Yep.
between the railroad crossing
Slab,
and the
big
highway.
one west of town.
And
So
Slab
we
is
take our-
the
I
big
have
slab.
done a couple
Or
of
not big
applications to try to,
especially given how big it is.
to try to pave that area so the motor grader isn't sitting half on the
It's on.
railroad tracks and half on the pavement half of the time. But, and of course,
How much?
I mentioned how many trucks are on there, right, that just go like mad and don't even see where they're going. And so it's not safe for the motor graders there and for semis coming on and off. The semis get hung up on those because they're so high. Quite a few of them are 3 feet, 4 feet.
That would be the highway bridges.
Than the.
So these are
than the
all
highway.
bridges.
Those are all
Higher
bridges.
than 6 feet, higher than highway curve.
We got lots of
And
bridges.
so-
show
And
us
that's just the highway.
That semis have gotten stuck on twice inside of the last 10 years, and they had to stop trains both directions
Okay.
until they could get these trucks.
Alright, so it's kind of.
Yeah, I-
Those are really safety.
Yeah.
And then up here, south of Dunlap.
Right over 300.
One right in here that, is real bad, and everybody knows that the trucks get stuck on there, the
Yeah.
semis get stuck.
Okay.
So if
what
we
about
could
this
put
bridge
those
south
up
of
there, right?
coming out of
If
there.
you guys
That
are
was newer.
Okay.
in a position to
Yeah, so
want
some new stuff
to.
too that might be in
We
like
might
now.
study
but
and
not
understand
now.
it a little bit more too, right?
Again.
Yeah, right.
The federal funding that we're
Yeah.
looking at is the railroad.
We gotta narrow it
crossing
down to like your
elimination
top
rate.
three.
But,
Yeah, but you can't eliminate.
yeah,
any of these.
the elimination part, like, really
It may not be
focuses
functional
on
later.
emergency response, schools, and multimodal, right? So looking at how to
You want
differentiate the grades, right? Like, does this
Stars all
need
over.
We need to build a higher approach on side away from Highway 30, so that you're going downhill all the whole way. So if we build up the grade six north of Irvine, 9 feet away.
But that's just a discretionary portion. I think when I'm talking about formulas too, the state has their own railroad formulas in terms of how many vehicles and how they prioritize these things, right? So
Whether or not they
there
close
are crossings, and the total number of vehicles crossing that point, depending on how many there are, the state has their own internal formulas on how they.
how many accidents, how many.
And so we could do
Okay, quick,
a lot of good legwork and help us out and get the state.
I got
Some of these we have rated pretty high on there, and we got one or two on
See it
the,
better over here.
that I think for applications.
So we are at,
This
Dude.
last round, whenever.
you guys wanna hang out and keep the stickers going?
If you,
Most of
yeah,
them
if you think
got
of
other
other
things.
things, please just,
Don't have
Email
any
or call.
fatalities or
Yeah,
very
and
few.
that makes it hard.
And yet,
Cool.
yeah. You guys leave
Awesome.
the guys on that.
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, we might like
Okay,
bring
but
these back at
I'll-
the next
I'll get
meeting
some
too.
stickers
Things that
on
come
there.
out between now and then.
Awesome.
we wanna add
I'm
more.
sure.
Let's
Dawn
look at
got
that.
Oh,
That's that.
Yep.
That's what I was counting
Thank
on
you.
Chris for.
If you,
Yep.
you can read it.
You probably need a lot of stickers.
Yeah,
Oh, like I said, the giant red one right over Chuck's County.
Oh, here's some.
Yeah, there's some other packs.
Yeah.
All right, what else do we have? I don't think we have anything else.
I think that's it.
Oh, public comment, yes, opportunity for public to speak.
Anybody got public comment?
Yeah, so this is kind of a new addition to the agenda, just with some regulations that came in on the Nebraska side, I think. They kind of made it so that open meetings night need to have a specified spot on the agenda for public comment, just to make sure that that doesn't get glossed over. If any members of the public do want to show up and participate in the meetings, and they are given the opportunity to do so. So we're gonna have that on the agendas moving forward. If anybody shows up and wants to talk, then that's their opportunity. So we don't have anybody here today, I don't think so.
Oh, how about additional business?
I was just gonna quickly mention the National Center for Rural Road Safety. They have Rural Road Safety Awareness Week next week. Just wanted to let you know if you wanna take a look at their website. And then they also have Road Safety Champion Program that basically anybody can participate in. It's free training. There's general training for everybody. And then there's training specific to different jobs, like if you're a first responder, if you're a public health official. You can go to their website.
Maintenance and construction
And they have, they have a link to register, it's free. Basically, anybody that's interested can look at that.
Anything,
Next, go ahead.
anything further? If not, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, motion second to adjourn, all in favor say aye. Aye. Meeting adjourned.
Thanks so much, guys. Thanks everyone online.